Hey, this is the Entertainment Advice Channel. What I want to talk about today is the topic of the top 5 reasons why TV shows suck nowadays. Whether it is Western TV shows or Japanese TV shows, in other words, anime, I have noticed TV shows in general tend to have these 5 problems. That is the reason why TV shows, of course, as a whole, animated shows, whatever I like to say, suck nowadays. So for this video, I'm gonna discuss the top 5 reasons why TV shows suck nowadays. So hopefully we can encourage through discussion a change, because these are top 5 things that are ruining TV shows and prevent them from being as good as they could be. Okay, so now I mentioned that, let's get started. So the first one is lack of originality. This is definitely a very big one, and I've noticed most TV shows nowadays tend to have it, is a lack of originality. Okay, which I think, to make things simple, since the most popular form of TV shows nowadays, as you already know, anime. I'll be using anime as an example for this whole video, but this can apply to not just anime, this can apply to animated shows in general, regardless of where they're from. Okay, so now that I mentioned that, let's get back to the first point. So the first point is that there's not really much originality when it comes to the ideas for new TV shows, okay? Because the truth of the matter is, when you actually watch anime, you tend to notice it's the same exact thing over and over and over again, okay? The same, type of plot, the same magic-based storyline to sum it up in general. Nothing new, nothing original. It's not like the 2000s or 1990s where there was a greater variety. Like, you had sci-fi stuff like Gundam. You had things that were more based on a futuristic world, like obviously like Ghost in the Shell and all that type of stuff. You had things that maybe were based on, ancient times and stuff. Yes, it's still there, but for the most part, they just simply talk about the same fundamental topic over and over again. And that's one of the reasons why TV shows are not as good as they used to be, is that they just tend to use the same exact fundamental idea, the same fundamental topic, or theme, whatever you like to say, over and over again until it gets kind of tiresome, okay? Which the problem with that is that, obviously, if you use the same theme over and over again, it feels like you're watching the same show. It doesn't matter how well written the shows are. If you're looking at the same thing over and over again, it's going to be bound to happen. At some point, you're going to realize, hey, I've already seen something very similar to this. Like this particular plot for this episode, I already saw something from another series that was like that, okay? Not to mention, are you bound to have the same issue, that exact issue come up, where it's like, I've already seen this before in some way, shape, or form, the same type of plot, situation, or whatnot. It also brings up the obvious other issue, no shit, that people as human beings want variety. If you just consume the same thing over and over again, you're going to get tired of it. And if you obviously have a variety, you're not going to get tired of it. So you need variety, okay? Even if something's well written, if it's just the same thing over and over again, you're going to get tired of it. So that's the first reason why TV shows, in other words, anime, sucks nowadays, is that they just use the same ideas, the same plot ideas over and over again and don't do anything different. That's my first point, okay? The second point, when it comes to why anime sucks nowadays, but like I said before, this is for TV shows in general. I'm just using anime as an example, okay? The second reason why it sucks nowadays is that the shows are just too long, okay? Like, they have, for a lot of shows that are popular, they can range from a few hundred to several hundred or even more episodes, okay? Which, if you're following a series, if something is that long, it's inevitable at some point you're going to start having plot holes obviously having plot holes, it makes it more likely that there's going to be issues with the story that can kill a great story and actually make the show start to suck. Okay, which you can kind of see pretty much happen with Naruto, for that matter. Okay, Naruto series. Okay, for that matter, with you. Okay, so truth be told, to answer your question, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, no ifs, ands, or buts. Making shows too long as a whole, you know, as something that happens all the time, makes it more likely that the shows are going to start to suck and they're not going to be as good as they need. Okay, so that's the honest truth here. So if you have TV shows that are too long, you're going to have more plot holes, and it's going to ruin a great series that was once good. Okay, and that's honest truth. Okay, so that's the second reason why TV shows suck nowadays. There's just too many shows that are too long. There should only be a few shows that are relatively long, but there's too many that are just too long. And that's my um second point. Okay, the third point is pushing an agenda on people. Now this one's very controversial, but this one definitely needs to be discussed now. Okay, and I know it's for anime. Like, even though anime has always kind of been kind of sketchy here with this particular issue, this one is definitely something that needs to be discussed, and it is happening more often nowadays, and it's just getting out of hand now, which is pushing an agenda on people, which, of course, when it comes to pushing an agenda, the biggest one of all, of course, no shit, is the gay homosexual agenda. Okay, so that is the honest truth here. Okay, because the truth of the matter is, when I'm watching the freaking show, I want to watch something that's entertaining. Okay, I want to watch something that can keep my mind in a different world, and I can kind of zone out and enjoy myself, have a good time, maybe watch with friends, have dialogue with each other, yada yada yada. Why the hell do I want something that's gonna try to force beliefs on me that I'm not comfortable with? Whether it could be two men kissing each other, the question about is there anything wrong with being gay, you know, a transgender character and all this weird shit. Why the fuck do I want to see that? You know, those are obviously very deep discussions that are obviously a TV show cannot really you know, make people think about. Those are things people have to talk about in real world situations in a very deep, meaningful, proper environment. Not just showing these topics to people when people have already made it clear, specifically men, we're not into that shit. We're not into seeing men kissing each other. We're not into transgenderness. We're not into all these topics that make people feel uncomfortable about morality and stuff. Like, why do I want to watch that shit when my whole purpose of watching a TV show is for entertainment? Why do you have to show this shit to people when people have already made it clear that they're not interested? And that's the honest truth, okay? So that is another reason why TV shows suck nowadays. They just try to force things on people that nobody gives a freaking shit about, okay? That makes me feel uncomfortable and kills the immersion, okay? So that's my third point, okay? Now my fourth point, okay, it's different but somewhat similar, is another thing that kills the comfort level is these outdated ways of thinking that they push on people. This whole, oh my goodness, this one is so annoying. The classic, oh, are humans evil? Humans are this, humans are that. Everybody in the world is out for themselves and yada yada yada. You know, the extreme push of philosophy onto people and all that type of stuff and all that stuff, and it just sounds at this point, compared to, especially someone who grew up in the era when these belief systems were starting to develop, at this point it just sounds really boring and lame and tiresome, okay? Because the truth of the matter, a lot of these belief systems, specifically to sum it up as a whole, you know, this human suck belief system is just so dated. Like, this sounds like something a kid nowadays who's trying to be different or original would say nowadays. Oh, humans suck. Humans are all evil. People only care about themselves nowadays. Okay, because the truth of the matter is, aside from the fact that there's good in the world, Okay, the truth of the matter is, when it comes to this point, because my god, this point's damn annoying, is that aside from that point, it's just a regurgitated point since everyone says it, so it becomes kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, and that's a problem I have with that way of thinking. Okay, um, especially once again, like I was saying before, when I'm watching a show for entertainment, I want to watch something that's an escape mechanism, not something that's trying to make me see the world a certain way, whether it be a topic of humans suck, vengeance is wrong, or this and that. Topics that make you feel extremely uncomfortable are going to kill your ability to immerse yourself and just make your experience kind of suck when you're watching this series. Okay, so this is part one, and I'll get to part two tomorrow, and that's it. So bye.